What is going on, guys? Drew here, back with another video, and this video is tailored to probably, I would say, the more beginner or amateur lifters. Now, if you are more experienced, I would say this video still tailors to you, but this video is 5 things that I wish that I knew when I first started. So, beginner lifter Drew. These are the 5 mistakes, I would say, that I've made over the past couple years. I say couple years, but it's more like 4 or 5 years in the gym, kind of maybe onto that 6th year in the gym, but 2 to 3 years like actually training like a natural bodybuilder. So let's go ahead and get right to it. I hope these tips help you. These are going to be a little niche, but I feel like everybody could still take something away from this video. So let's get straight into it. I'll have some clips that'll kind of go over this video so you don't just see me talking the whole time. First thing that comes to my mind is, this one is super simple. It's eating enough protein. Now, when you first start getting into the gym, you hear that, oh, protein's important, protein this, protein that, amino acids, essential amino acids, da-da-da-da. Well, the first mistake I think that I made was actually not eating enough protein. Now, you hear people say that, especially like a lot of Britain or UK fitness influencers, they tend to say that protein's not as important. I'm not trying to stereotype here, but this is just what I've learned. They always say that you can usually get away with 0.85 grams of protein per pound of body weight, and then a lot of like American and then North American, they always push for like a gram per pound of body weight. So for me, I've noticed significant success in either hitting a gram per pound of body weight of protein or more than that. I feel like the more protein that I eat, the better I feel, the better I look, the stronger I feel, and the more mass that I've put on. When I just prioritize just strictly protein, I just feel like it changed the world for me. So, it really gets down to very expensive and I would say inconvenient to how much protein I feel like you actually have to be eating. Like, I think it's honestly strange to think about how in order to put on mass, we have to eat this many grams of protein. Like, whether I'm weighing 200 or I'm weighing 170, like, it is just critical that throughout the day I get at least 200 grams of protein. Now, I would always I always knew that protein was important, but I didn't like prioritize it. I was always like, oh, okay, I can get away with eating 0.85 grams of protein per pound of body weight. I don't need to eat a gram per pound. What that means is if you weigh 200 pounds, you need to eat 200 grams of protein. What I have found that is if you stick to that day by day, or if you actually eat more than that, I have found a pretty substantial noticeable difference, especially in just how much mass I'm putting on and how much better I feel. Another thing that I have found is when you're cutting or trying to lose weight, you have to eat even more protein. So what I'm basically telling you is if you weigh like 200 pounds and you're trying to lose weight, I would eat at least 220 grams of protein every single day. And one of the biggest things that I thought about recently, and even back then, is, well, if I'm supposed to be eating this much protein, how am I supposed to do that if I'm a 15-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid, I have no money to spend on protein or groceries? What do I do? The biggest thing that I've found is obviously drinking your calories, like liquid protein shakes, like whey protein powder is a really good place to start. But for me, the number one was buying like air fryable, like chicken strips, like high protein, low calorie chicken strips that I liked. Throw them in the air fryer. I mean, you get so much protein for like a pretty decent amount of calories, whether you're bulking or cutting, like it's gonna fit perfectly. So I know there's a couple brands, like Real Good Foods, Just Bare, Tyson, John Souls. I think I would buy those because they will save you a good amount of money, and just buy the chicken strips or the chicken breast or the chicken nuggets or whatever. Make sure they've got decent macros, get an air fryer, and just live by that. For me, it's not that hard because I love chicken. I can eat chicken all day, every day. I have a video where I just ate chicken for an entire day, and it was literally like all air fryable chicken. So that is the easiest way that I get my protein in. It's easy. Like if I wanted to, I could hit 350 grams for a whole week just off air fryable chicken. Like it's stupid. Like it's so easy. Just make sure you're measuring your food correctly. About 4 ounces of chicken is about the size of a man's palm. So just realize that. Okay, so now we're going to get into step 2. Step 2, or mistake 2, I should say, is not training hard enough. These first 2 are pretty, pretty easy, I would say. They're pretty, okay, well, elaborate. I think that if you're a natural lifter, you need to be taking every set to failure and manage your fatigue correctly. Number one thing I see in the gym is a lot of people, they're not training, like they don't train like they want it. Like if you want bigger biceps, you're going to go into the gym and you're going to absolutely destroy your biceps. You're going to train to absolute failure. You're going to go as hard as you can because you're trying to send a signal to your brain, to the muscle that, hey, whatever we have right now, it's not working. Like we need to get better because when we come to this situation next time, we need to be able to be prepared for it. So tip number 2, I would say, is stop talking between your sets. When you go to the gym, if you have a muscle group that's lacking or you want to improve, it's wartime. Obviously warm up, don't get injured, but if you really want to get bigger muscles, you can't act this out. You have to go in there and you have to be determined. Hard work without intent is nothing. So you need to have goal, you need to have drive, you need to have an intent. Okay, today I want to absolutely destroy my chest. And then you go in there and do it. So train as hard as you can for 8 to 10 sets, probably per muscle group. A smaller muscle group, you could probably get away with like 5. And then leave the gym and start the recovery process. So those are the first 2 things I would say. The third mistake I would say, and this one got me the most, was not sleeping enough. I struggle with anxiety. Like I just sit in my bed a lot and just wonder and think and my mind runs races. But one way I tried to counter that in my junior year of high school is I would stay up crazy late. Like I would stay up, not crazy late because y'all be staying up way later than me. But I'd stay up till like 11 p.m. every night, which doesn't seem that bad, but then I'd have to get up at 5 a.m. because I would have practice before school. And I was weight training after school, after my practice. So do you think I was getting enough sleep? No. I was maybe getting 6 hours a night. The reason I stayed up later was because I noticed that when I stayed up later, I fell asleep easier because I was actually tired. But you don't want to do that. I found the most noticeable growth, the most noticeable difference a year and a half ago to 2 years ago was my first year of college, because I'm going to be a junior this coming August. But my freshman year of college, I didn't have classes till 9 a.m., which are like 9 a.m., those are the early classes, and I would have some 8 a.m.s. But for me, that's not that early. So I would go to bed at like 10, and my body would let me sleep from 10 all the way to 7. So that's 2 plus 7, that's 9 hours of sleep. I got amazing sleep. Imagine 9 hours of sleep, like every night. So freshman year of college, I made the most noticeable difference. Also, I started training to failure. So that ties into step number 2, or mistake number 2 that I made. But also getting 9 hours of sleep instead of 6 or 7 was a game changer. I felt refreshed, ready for every single lift. I didn't take a rest day. I have it tracked. I didn't take a rest day my freshman year of college for 190 days straight. Yeah, because I didn't feel like I needed one. So, because my sleep was on point every single day. Mistake number 4, I would say, is not looking into certain supplements. Now, what I mean by that is there are some supplements that are overhyped just for a cash grab, and then there are some that are tried and true, have been around forever. The summer of 2024, I stopped taking creatine because I I ran out and I was too lazy to buy more. I had the money. I could buy like 100 jars, but I was just like, I'm out. I don't really want to buy it right now. Da 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 da. And everything plateaued. Everything. Creatine. People say that creatine doesn't even do anything for them, but for me, it definitely does because everything plateaued. My weight, my reps on certain top sets, the weight I could use, my joints and ligaments, everything just hurt. I mentally just did not feel as sharp. Like, I felt lazier, and I felt like, and I was bulking too. So my muscle lost water. And then I started my cut. So I overall just looked like I didn't even lift weights, which was like crazy because I was like still insanely strong and super developed, but I had that fat over my muscle. And then I stopped taking creatine, so my muscle stopped soaking up the water. And then the ATP to ADP production, conversion, I should say, if you know how creatine works, that obviously took a hit. So creatine is just tried and true. You should always be taking it. Even if you have $35 in your bank account, you better spend that $35 on a bottle of 100 serving creatine because that is the most tried and true supplement, best supplement out there. Take your creatine. Now let's move on to another supplement. For the longest time, I would not take pre-workout. And I would say for the first couple of years of in the gym, you shouldn't take pre-workout. But then it comes to a point where I think you should dabble because freshman year of college, like I said, that's when I noticed the biggest improvement. I also started taking some pre. I dabbled though. I took like, if you know me, when it comes to stimulants, I'll take like a fourth of a scoop. Like I do not need that much to get off the wall. Now pump products, I'll take like a full serving, but like stimulant stuff, I'll take like a fourth and I'll just be off my rocker, out of my mind. So if you've been in the gym for 2-3 years, seriously, I would recommend going and buying a pre-workout because I know so many people have been training for like 3 to 4 years. They've stayed the exact same, and I asked them, well, do you take pre-workout? Have you ever thought about it? You'll get better pumps. You'll be more locked in. As long as you don't rely on it, you don't become addicted to it. It's a really good tool. And it's like, well, I don't want to rely on it. I want to say I did it without that, and I just don't think it'll help me that much. Okay, look. Caffeine is not the strongest thing in the world, but if used responsibly, it is a really good tool. So the pump formula, being more locked in, caffeine also suppresses your appetite if you're trying to cut. It suppresses your pain. You just got to watch out though if you're injured. Pre-workout, and pre-workout's generally not that expensive. Like if you're trying to go for bang for your buck, I would probably go to Bucked Up or I would say Alpha Lion to a certain extent. Alpha Lion has pretty good potency, and you're paying really good for what you get. You just have to buy certain products from Alpha Lion. Like I'd recommend their glycerol, which that helps with pump, and then I recommend Alpha Lion's like pump product. Their pump product is like cracked because it's like $42, and then you're paying like $1 a serving. Like that's pretty good. But there's tons of pre-workouts out there, and they're all pretty well do the same thing. It's just kind of your preference. So I would recommend buying a pre-workout. Obviously, if you're in a good spot to buy it, it's only, you're at most going to spend $55 for just like a, single bottle. So now let's move on to my fourth thing that I think was killing my gains. The fourth mistake that I think that I made was not being open-minded to new ideas. Now, some fitness, overhyped stuff is all garbage, it's all jargon, but having an open mind to training, appetite, new supplements out there, it is very important, and it can definitely elevate your game. I remember that when I first started lifting, I started way before a lot of other people, so I thought I was like a know-it-all for a while. And that's when I noticed I started hating on people who were passing me because they were utilizing new ideas, having an open mind, and I wasn't. So my fourth tip that I would say that I would give to myself when I first started lifting is have an open mind. Don't just judge somebody right off the book. When they present an idea, listen to it and try it out and see if you like it for yourself. Trial and error is the best way to grow for muscular mass, because there's basic guidelines, but it's all kind of tailored down to you specifically. And then let's go ahead and wrap this up real quick. Tip number 5 that I wish I knew when I first started lifting, the 5th mistake that I think that I was making was not realistic goals. For instance, I would always compare myself to people on social media, and whenever I didn't have the physique, the strength, or the the style of a certain social media person that I looked up to, I got insanely demotivated and just suffered from a large amount of body dysmorphia. Whenever I had to realize that whatever you see on social media is not really what you see in real life. It's all glorified. It's all just somebody's highlights. So if you ever go to my page or you go to anybody's page and you don't feel motivated, you need to kind of rework your brain. Instead of saying, oh, this person looks like this, I don't look like that, you need to think, oh, this person looks like this, I like them because they teach me things, I can take certain advice from them. If I keep going at this, within time, I can look like them or even better than them. And remember, when I mean look like them, I mean to an extent. You're not going to look exactly like them. You don't want to look exactly like them. You want to look like you, just even better. That's why social media is cool, because you can show that off to people. And then if you actually went through the process of like bettering yourself, you'll gain traction. So the 5th mistake I would say is using social media the wrong way. I would use it to demotivate myself. And at the time, it felt great for motivation for lifting, but over the long term, it kind of had a tank on my mental, when I totally should have looked at the posts, the videos, the education as a totally different outlet. I should have used it as, wow, this is something I can implement today that this person told me that I can implement for the rest of my lifting career if I like it. That will make me 1% better. So that kind of ties in with the 4th tip, have an open mind, but also just use social media to motivate you. Because back then I didn't use it to motivate me. I was like, man, all the people I see on social media, there's no way, It kind of ties back into tip 4, where I was like Scrooge. I thought I knew everything. I was always down and negative. When you start having a more positive outlet on things and you see the better in things, things will just work out better. Because if you're just negative all the time, you're not going to want to do anything. You're not going to want to improve. So those are the top 5 things that I would say that I wish I knew when I first started lifting. Because I guarantee in a year or 2, if I just stayed on point, I'd be at my size in like 2 to 3 years of lifting. Maybe not as developed, but I would definitely be around the same size. And what I mean by that is, if I cut down, I probably wouldn't look as impressive or have like as much actual mass underneath the skin, but I feel like I'd be, relatively similar. So, I mean, if 1 to 2 years, I'm telling you, here straight up, 1 to 2 years, you're locked in, 8 hours of sleep, a gram per pound of body weight or more of protein, and you train as hard as you can and rest when you feel like you need it. 1 to 2 years, you're going to look like a totally different person. So I hope this video helps. Day 11 of the bulk, I didn't train. I took a rest day today. We weighed in at 194. And tomorrow we're hitting a squat PR. Or that's the goal. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.